What is Hollywood's fascination with serial killers? Why does Hollywood keep on making content about serial killers? Why does Hollywood try to make serial killers look beautiful? Questions that I don't have the answer for. Questions I don't have the answer for because I'm not in Hollywood. And I'm not in that weird ass mindset that Hollywood has been in for the past couple of years. You know, Hollywood has been slacking. Hollywood has been on the, ever since COVID, this is the worst era of entertainment. We've been getting consistent remakes. It's just been very, very boring and underwhelming, cheap, and the CGI of movies look terrible. Nothing feels weighty anymore. It just feels so lackluster and lazy. Lazy is the best word I can use. But for the past couple of years, we've been seeing tons and tons of content around serial killers. But we already know Hollywood to be weird. We already know Hollywood to be weird, you know. Like in 2022, we had the Jeffrey Dahmer story. You know, I heard about Dahmer when I was younger, but I didn't know too much about him. You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to know so much about serial killers. These are serial killers. These are demons. Why should we know so much about them? Let me dig into my past real quick. When I was a kid, yes, I heard about Dahmer when I was a child, but I didn't know too much about him. I mean, you're not supposed to, realistically. But as I gotten older, and yes, I have gained an interest in history and all the elements of human history and all the things that has happened in last century and so on and so forth, I have found and did some research in serial killers. Unfortunately, our human history is dark. It's scary. But lots and lots of people never heard about Jeffrey Dahmer until 2022. Rappers have brought up Jeffrey Dahmer's name.
She eats your heart out like Jeffrey Dahmer.
At the time when Juicy J said that lyric, that was 2013. People didn't know much about serial killers back in 2013. You know what? Matter of fact, let me rephrase. The younger audience didn't know anything about serial killers around that time. It was more adults. And around that time, it was just documentaries, a few movies, interviews. But ever since Monster 2022 with Dahmer, now everyone, all ages, know about serial killers. But now there's a fascination growth to it. It's just different now. It's just, it's always something different happening due to COVID. Yeah, when I say I hate COVID and I hate the damage that COVID has done, I'm telling you, because it's like we're in a new era. Hollywood entertainment is falling apart, and this is something that I'm noticing that's connected to it. Anyways, let me get back to my point about Hollywood's obsession with blood and murder and all that bullshit. So, unfortunately, it became a culture, and I'm putting quotations up when I say this, a culture around serial killers. They cast Hollywood actors to make them play them, and then they put them in a spotlight to make them look like they have aura, or they look beautiful, or they look sexy, or they look gorgeous. You know what I think it is? And to be honest, you guys might not understand what the hell I'm saying right here, but this is how I view it. I feel like when bad people do bad things, for example, killing or hurting, it feeds the person power. Their character becomes powerful and they seem more than human. I feel like throughout everything, throughout movies, horror movies, anything, action movies, when the villain does something bad, their aura gives off more than human. Like they're close to being supernatural. So I think that's why people start to have a fascination in evil. I can't explain it. Like the feeling of not being human anymore. So first we had 2022 with Jeffrey Dahmer. And now in 2025 we have Ed Gein. Basically real life Leatherface. You know, I remember hearing about him, but now we have a TV show on him. This is too much. So first in 2022 we had Jeffrey Dahmer. 2025 we have Ed Gein. Who next? And I'm not saying who next, like this is a good thing. Yeah, bring someone out. No, please. Do not do that. Do not bring anyone else out. This is weird. I feel like Hollywood is gonna bring out somebody else. They don't need to. Please, just stop. I don't understand what is the obsession with cannibals and eating people and blood and murder and death with Hollywood. You know, I have a few answers on why I think Hollywood loves serial killers. I could give you the spiritual reason, and I could give you the physical reason. The physical reason is that Hollywood is just weird. A bunch of weirdos. they're trash, you know. Their movies have been slacking in recent years with remakes. Everything has just been remake this, remake that. They're very lazy. So yeah, they're weird. You also can bring up history and teach people about serial killers. I understand that. That I don't have a big problem with, teaching people about serial killers, because it's a part of human history. But when you try to yassification them and try to give them like this aura and this beauty, and then you have these girls saying that they're beautiful and give them fan bases, okay, now we're weird. Now this is weird. So then on the spiritual answer, back to the thing that I was just talking about a minute ago, is, well, Hollywood is ran by Satan. And Satan is, yeah, you know who that is. It's just, that place is weird. Everything with Hollywood is just weird. It's just a weird place. This is disgusting. I ain't gonna lie, I'm mad that I have to even talk about this. But this is something I just thought of because I realized, wait. So much serial killer content has been growing in recent years, and they're growing a fan base. And it's ew. And then they get these good-looking men to play as these demons? All right, look. So I'm going to give Hollywood the benefit of the doubt, okay? I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and just say they are teaching people about our history. Because a lot of people did not know about Jeffrey Dahmer until the TV show came out. And let me back up a little bit. Lots of content around Dahmer been out before 2022. Lots of content been out about serial killers, period. Interviews, documentaries, movies, etc. Jeremy Renner played Dahmer too. That was one of his first breakout roles. And Jeremy, that's my guy. You know, Charlize Theron played a serial killer, and she's one of the bays. So there's tons and tons of serial killer content out there for decades. Lots and lots of movies, TV shows, content, etc. But there's something about the quotations monster series. So we had the Monster series part 1 with Jeffrey Dahmer in 2022, and then we have another monster series with Ed Gein, which is this year, 2025. So like I said earlier, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that they're teaching people, but these two series is getting in my head where I feel like they're glorifying these guys. Something about these two feel different. Back to what I said earlier, they are teaching people. Lots of people didn't know about serial killers until this decade. But we already had YouTubers talk about them. We already had female YouTubers who did makeup and talk about serial killers. We already had Wendigoon talk about serial killers. We've had plenty of like serial killer icebergs, you know? I've been heard about Jeffrey Dahmer when I was a kid, but I didn't know too much about him. All I knew that he was a cannibal, but I didn't know too much about him. Now I know because I do research. My mind has opened up where I like history, so I do research on our history, and I come across bad things. There's tons and tons and tons of serial killers that I know about. Very popular ones, very non-popular ones. Tons and tons with different motives and different reasons why throughout our history, different decades, different centuries. I think the human mind has curiosity is the best word, to look into the darkness of people. And I think that's why people get really interested in serial killers. So yes, I'm going to go on a limb and say within the benefit of the doubt, they're teaching people. But on the other side, in these recent years, it feels like a glorification where these people are being idolized and it's getting people to like these people, you know? They use these actors, these good-looking actors, these good-looking guys to play as demons to grab people's attention. The only reason why now these serial killers have attention is through these guys. I'm thinking about it again. You know, I never watched when Jeremy Renner played Jeffrey Dahmer. I've never watched that movie. I haven't watched it. It's just certain things I'm not gonna watch. Like, you got Hollywood horror and you have Hollywood fiction, but they're mixing the fiction with real life stuff and turning it into this, you know, made up story where you should not really take it serious, and then, oh, it doesn't matter if you glaze them or not, you know? Ed Gein had influenced Leatherface. Leatherface is a made-up character, but there's real-life elements to it because of him, you know, Ed Gein. But there's a fictional villain love, and it's mixing with this real-life villain interest, and that's what I think these movies are doing. So the real reason why I'm making this video is because of the Monster series that came out this decade. So part 1 to the Monster series was Jeffrey Dahmer. which was in 2022, played by Evan Peters. And then now, 2025 of the Monster series is Ed Gein, played by Charlie Hunnam. I really have a feeling, I feel like they're going to drop another one of these Monster series with another popular serial killer because, again, following human curiosity, there's a following behind popular serial killers. Like, there are tons and tons and tons of serial killers out there. Very, very popular and very, very non-popular, man, is a lot. There are people out there who kill plenty of people who are not that popular, done crazy things. Man, when you go down the rabbit hole, you start finding out some scary things. It's terrifying. You know, human curiosity can really hurt you when you find out things that you shouldn't be finding out. Anyway, I feel like this series is going to keep going down this decade. And I feel like next year we're going to get somebody else who was very popular by another actor that a lot of people like. And it's just going to keep going and keep going and keep going until Hollywood collapses. So we have the growth of serial killers, and then we have the growth of Hollywood remakes. Like, this got to be the worst era in entertainment. It's just so bad. Holy shit. Anyway, thank you guys for watching if you made it to this time in the video. I appreciate it. I really, really do. This is a little thought turned into a video. So I appreciate you if you watch this whole thing. Thanks. Like, I remember at school hearing these dumbass kids talk about Jeffrey Dahmer because that was their first time hearing about him. They never knew about him until the TV show came out. But the way that they talked about Dahmer, like I remember at the lunch table, I remember during lunch, they were talking about him like with an interest. It wasn't curiosity, like how I mentioned earlier. And I'm about to end the video real quick. I just want to say this real quick because I'm thinking about it. But it seemed more like an interest, like, whoa, who is this dude? People never heard of that, so it was fascinating to them. But this is my point. My point is, I call them dumbasses because the way they talked about him was like he was captivating. And like I said before, a lot of kids, this is when we were in high school. We already graduated. We moved on. They didn't know they didn't know who that was. They don't know who that is. They don't, you know? But let me get into my other point. I can't even say, and this is why I cannot give Hollywood the benefit of the doubt. I can't say they're teaching people about serial killers because a lot of things in these TV shows are fake. They're made up. A lot of these things that happen in the TV shows did not happen in real life. They added that extra twist to tell a story. See? Mixing fiction and nonfiction together. Anyway, I'm going to end the video right here, though. I'm going to end it right here. Bro, I'm done. I'm done with this.